Hello there, and welcome to Thank the Maker, a podcast about heroes, princesses, scoundrels, hokey religions, ancient weapons, and all things Star Wars. I'm Adam Russell. And
am I here?
Nick's there.
Am I here? I can't tell.
You're there, Nick. We see you. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds super delayed.
Yeah.
Nick is here, but he's not here. Nick's having problems. Let's pretend like Nick's in space and that's the problem. But we have our friend Gabe Estrada on as a guest tonight. So even if Nick is in cryostasis floating around in orbit somewhere, Gabe's here to show us some awesome stuff. Gabe, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Hey, it's going to space and back. Give it a second, man.
Yeah. Listen to Louis C.K.'s bit.
I don't know if it's on time right now, but you guys seem like it's working currently. It just didn't work right when it needed to at the beginning.
Yeah, just when it's most important is when it doesn't work.
Yeah. That's how it happens, but we can hear you. Everything's cool now.
Everything's cool now. So Gabe, your Instagram handle is Gabe's Empire, but it wasn't always, and you have a lot of followers. So for folks who maybe recognize you or recognize the background if they're watching, remind them what your old Instagram handle is and what your claim to fame is on social media.
Yeah, for sure. So for a lot of years, I ran my social media handles as Star Wars Replicas. And that's kind of where my accounts grew and people knew me from, I would do reviews and explain about licensed prop replicas. And that's my main focus, is making sure that, they're licensed through Lucasfilm. And that's 90% of my collection is that. So on social media, I recently did a little makeover on TikTok and on Instagram, which is now Gabe's Empire. But on my older platforms, which are YouTube and Facebook, I'm still Star Wars Replicas. So I apologize for the confusion there, but same content, same stuff, different handles.
Yeah, still relevant with the old handles for sure.
Yeah.
So
I have a question, actually. Did you plan that knowing that once Andor was done, there wasn't going to be a lot of Star Wars for like a year? Was this premeditated? I've been wondering that, and I should have just texted you.
No, you know what? I've actually been planning this out for probably about a year or two. Honestly, it's been one of these things. As you guys know, as my day job, right? So we do a lot of things with intellectual property and trademarks and stuff like that. So deep down inside of me, I always knew that I was like, well, if I have the word Star Wars in my name, like I know I'll never fully own my channels. So that was always in the back of my head that I wanted to, take that out and kind of give it more of a nod. So that's been in the works for a long time. It was just finding the right name and if I was going to include my name personally in there. So it was years in the making, but I'm happy where it landed.
Yeah, you're smart. Cool. Seems like you know things about law.
Sometimes, here and there.
Yeah, you may be educated and employed appropriately. So we wanted to have you on to, of course, talk about this incredible collection you have, and if anyone who's watching, you can see a portion of it. And it's already like just what you can see is incredibly impressive here. But we have some photos from some other things that you have, and you have some props that you're going to show to us more close up. But we also want to talk about an auction that's happening to benefit something really cool, the Echoes from the Galaxy auction, which will benefit the Saga Museum, which is a project it's in the works. It's, they're not yet building. They're still looking for sites. They're still getting their ducks in a row. We had Steve Sansweet on not too long ago to talk about that. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. There's some really exciting stuff. You got some preview time with some really cool on-screen, screen used props that we want to talk about. But before that, let's talk a little bit about this big, amazing collection of, like you said, 90% officially licensed Star Wars replicas.
Yeah.
How did this all start? like what's the size and the like maybe the value of your collection if you can estimate that?
Yeah.
Tell people a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've been a collector my whole life. Like I started collecting the Kenner figures. I would collect like the He-Man toys, the GI Joes. You know, I mean, I was just one of those kids, right? I love toys, and I like to keep them, like not necessarily on display, but I would take care of my toys, you know, just to kind of keep them on display nice. So I've always been a collector, and it wasn't until about 2003 when I discovered a company called Master Replicas. And Master Replicas had the license to go into the Lucasfilm archives and recreate the props, right, from the films. And they would put them out in limited editions. And so I discovered them around the early 2000s. And I was like, man, like the inner child in me. And by the way, by then, I was kind of a closet Star Wars nerd, right? Like I think a lot of us went through that phase, right? Where there was like during like the 90s and early 2000s, you know, it was, I mean, I guess when the prequels came out, you know, it kind of sparked it up again. But at that time, I try to keep my passion for Star Wars a little to myself, right?
It was the dark times.
It was a little bit of the dark times there. But around, like I said, 2000, the early 2000s, I found this company and I couldn't afford them back then. I was like, there's just no way. Like, they're a couple $100s, right? Like a lightsaber would be like $300, $400. A helmet, same, like $500. But still, like just to have that disposable income back then, I was like, there's just no way. And then around 2004, 2005, I think it was the Christmas of that year from 2004, 2005, my girlfriend, now wife, she bought me a Master Replica's Stormtrooper helmet for that Christmas. And I was just blown away. I was like, oh my God, like my inner child just went crazy. Like, I have a Stormtrooper helmet and it has lineage to like one of the ones Screen used. I was like, my mind was just blown. And, you know, as much as she complained about my collection throughout the decades, it's her fault, you know, at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of sparked the passion for that. And then, of course, any disposable income I had at that point, I started buying. And I started, you know, trying to find used ones on like eBay or RPF or back then it was the forums, right? Because there was really no kind of Facebook or anything like that. So, you know, I started buying a lightsaber here and there, a blaster. And 20 years later, here we are, right? So this is 20 years of collecting this stuff. And of course it's grown since then, right? So I started collecting screen use stuff, which it's great that we get to talk about the Julians Auction because that is actually still part of my world, right? I'm part of my collection. I started collecting from other franchises, from other films as well. And yeah, I just kind of just embraced my nerd and just went with it and put it out there online for everyone to see. And, you know, just try to show people some cool stuff and talk about Star Wars, you know?
So if you had to guess, after all these years, after, you know, growing up and becoming an adult with a stable adult income and you've been able to invest all of this,
Yep.
can you or would you even want to say what all that might be worth? And don't say your address out loud, obviously.
I mean, it's definitely in the six figures.
Wow.
Once you start kind of adding it up, the thing is like each piece has its own little story of how I got it, for how much I got it, which was crazy because there was a big boom, especially during like the shutdown, like around 2020, 2021. There was a huge boom in just all collectibles, right? We saw it all across the board from Pokemon cards to the old figures, the replicas. I mean, everything. Screen use just skyrocketed, right? So the price that I paid for a lot of this stuff is a fraction of what it's worth, right? At these days. So that's why it's hard to put like a specific value to it. But I mean, I have a piece and I'm not gonna, and I can't, unfortunately I can't show the piece,
Right.
but am I cutting off? No.
No, you're good.
I can't show the piece on here, but there's one piece that's probably worth close to that just in one piece.
Wow.
So again, it's hard to put a solid value on it.
I would imagine Master Replicas having folded as a company so long ago contributes to that increase in value with quite a bit of what you have, right?
That was part of it. I mean, that license keeps on getting transferred, right? So
Right.
originally that license belonged to Icons Collectibles. When they went out of business, it went to Master Replicas. When Master Replicas went out of business, it went to EFX Collectibles. And EFX Collectibles currently still has that, and they still have access to the archives. So, yeah.
I have a few Master Replicas. I want to say like episode 2 to episode 3 era lightsabers, and I'm pretty sure those exact models were replaced by Hasbro at some point, not long after. Does that sound right?
So that's the FX series, which ended up turning into like the elite, like the light up ones, right?
Right.
So everything that I have here is a replica of the actual prop that was used in the film. None of them connect, none of them are NeoPixel, like none of them actually light up because that's all the originals didn't do.
Do they even have a blade or just the hilt?
No. So there were some versions that would have this rotating stick with like some, like, it's basically tape that would like aluminum
retro reflective material.
Right. And then it would just reflect the light off of it. Later down the line, they would actually draw in the lightsaber colors. So yeah, it just every single there's the hero ones that are just hanging on the belt. So it just depends which one they went into the archives and handled, right? But yeah, there's 2 different series that Master Replicas put out. There was the limited edition stuff like this stuff, and then later they put out that FX version that did light up. And but those are not accurate. Those are, they made them beefier. They had a speaker on them, because
right.
It had to work. So it's kind of like it was almost like an in between, like from a replica and a toy. And it was like a nice little, cool collectible, but yet, you could play with it, right?
That's dope. It's interesting and cool, like really cool to me that long ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you had a whole bunch of other crap, that you decided you kind of knew where the guardrails were or where the goalposts were with your collection and you stuck to it. Whereas I have just like tubs and tubs and tubs of random shit.
Yeah.
And there was no focus, and I spent way too much money with no end in sight, and now I regret it.
You are a Star Wars statistic.
Yeah.
Because statistically, there's so much cool crap out there. There's so much cool stuff to collect, and it's so hard to stay disciplined to like one thing, right? Sometimes you see like the people that collect like the hot toys, and they're just like focused, like, I mean, laser focus, but then all of a sudden it's like you see a Marvel 6 scale, and then all of a sudden it's like there's these other franchises that start popping up, and it's hard as a Star Wars fan. It's super hard to stay focused and dedicated. The way I did it was, number one, I only collected stuff that was very expensive. So that kept me in check, right? Because I already knew, I was like, well, I'm not going to just go and buy whatever from all the, the prequels and the sequels. Is like, I need to stay focused on like original trilogy and only certain things. And that was kind of my mentality going into the collection. And yeah, I couldn't do the Black Series. I couldn't do those because as a collector, forget it. It's a slippery slope. Once you start with one, it's like, I need the whole set, or I need the whole...
that's definitely what I did starting, I guess, Force Awakens. I was like, I'll just buy... Yeah. I remember buying Rey and Kylo, whatever numbers those were, like pretty early on in Black Series. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I feel like a kid again. I feel like I'm going to Toys R Us. I bought some toys, whatever. And then I was like, oh, I found some other ones I liked. And I was like, I'm just going to buy, I'm not going to collect them all. I'm just going to collect the ones that I think are cool. And then when I had like 30 of them, I'm like, oh, it's interesting. I have all of the 20s except for number 23. Maybe I should go buy number 23. And now like sitting in storage is all 112 of them, like, and it's cool. One day I'd love to be able to display them, but as things go, the collection grew so much and the space I had did not grow. If anything, it shrunk. So like they're sitting in storage, and like one day hopefully they could be behind me while I'm podcasting or something, but we'll see. But that's definitely a slippery slope. That's how it works.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of the Star Wars fans and a lot of collectors end up falling into that pit, right? Where you start buying it to complete it and then you start storing them, right? And you just keep them stored away. That's the other thing that kept me in check, is that I was actually displaying them. And part of that was, again, because my wife, right? Like, you can't see it here, but there's a giant window right there that looks out into our like family room. So like I had to make sure it looked museum quality, like display, because I knew if someone was going to come to the house, they're going to see that right through the window. So again, that was another thing that forced me to like, I have to keep it nice and clean, because if I start cluttering stuff inside those boxes, it's just going to look cluttered. So that definitely kept me in check. And I was just, funny enough, I actually have a funny story about how that came about. So I'm an immigrant story, right? So when we came to the United States, we didn't have a lot of money, and there was a lot of us living, my whole family was living in this like 1-bedroom apartment, and I never had my own bedroom because I was the oldest. So they just stuck me in the living room, and my mom was cool enough to let me display my Star Wars toys in the living room. Nice. So even as an early, like as a 10-year-old, I had this like conscious, like I knew I had to make them look nice because it was in the living room, which is kind of crazy how it tied together now with this. I always call this like my American dream, right? Because this room is like the size of like that 1-bedroom apartment almost. So it's kind of a cool little like, childhood Star Wars story of how I display my stuff, goes back to that time.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Can I ask you an OCD question?
Yeah, please.
The shelves, the shelving and the lighting and everything, is it custom, or did you pick like a line, like the Billy bookcase line or something, and roll with that?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I'm super open about all my displays. Everything is from IKEA. Everything. They're customized IKEA. And honestly, it's not like I didn't spend like a ton of money on the displays. It was just more of customizing them, right? Making sure that they're stacked correctly, screwing them in, putting the lights in, things like that I did. But yeah, most of it in here is the Besta line. So if anybody wants to kind of replicate that look for Bestas, because they're the ones that have the enough depth for the helmets. So the middle one's a Billy with two like stacked little additions, and then the side ones are the smaller Bestas. They're like the 7-inch Bestas, so all the way up.
So do you have any anxiety around the idea that they would discontinue that line, and then like, are you stockpiling in your garage extra?
I thought you were going to ask me anxiety if there was going to an earthquake, but
oh yeah, well that too.
Well, yeah, Southern California, like trust me, whenever I feel something, I'm like,
San Diego, you're safe in San Diego.
What?
You're safe in San Diego, right?
No, we get the end of the we get them. So we had one recently, like maybe a couple months ago, and that's the first thing I was like, oh my god! Like I was outside and I was like, my Star Wars room. Like I just ran over there. I'm like, something's gonna fall, but luckily everything was good. But yeah, no. As far as like anxieties, if something's gonna get discontinued, no, not necessarily, because I'm actually building another room now. I'm expanding this room. I'm going to take all this stuff and move it to a bigger collection space. And I'm actually building in-wall display cases. So
sick.
Now I don't have to worry about it. I'm still going to use some, like my wall is still going to be the same, like the helmet wall. But some of the other stuff's going to be already in the wall. So I don't have to worry about it. But
built in the wall, like like a built-in bookcase, like a traditional one, or is it Star Wars style, like in universe?
Traditional. It's very, it's still going to look very museum style. And in fact, I'm inspired by the ones that they built in the new Lucasfilm campus. They almost look like frames, and then they're like built in. Very cool looking shelves. So I'm kind of replicating that look.
Yeah, I just saw that when I went a month ago, and I didn't know that they had renovated the space at Lucasfilm. So, and I hadn't been there in about 8 years, so I was surprised. I really liked it. It's definitely has like a more modern Star Wars, but on Earth kind of feel. Like it seems Star Wars inspired, but something anyone could do. It didn't feel like a movie set, which I really liked.
Yeah,
that's tight.
Yeah. So,
well, can we take a little closer look at some of your stuff here? We have a bunch of photos, and then I want to see those pieces that we talked about. So here's a wider view. You kind of showed this earlier, but how many helmets? We've got 16 there, and then another 4 on this side. What else can't we see that's in there?
On the other side is like the Mandalorian helmet. So I have like on the right side of Boba Fett, on the right side of the picture. I have Din's helmet, I have Bo-Katan's helmet, and the Armor's helmet. Those are all from EFX Collectibles, and they used the actual original molds that they had from the show to create those. So those are the ones you can't see right there. There's a few that I have put away that I had to kind of, because I wanted to put out all my Rogue One helmets on the bottom. So then some of my sequel helmets kind of had to like get the boot, at least temporarily, until I build this new space. And so like the Kylo Ren helmets put away. I have a Master Replica's 501st Clone Trooper helmet put away. There's a few. There's, in fact, even on the floor, all the X-Wing helmets are I had to take them down. So I have a bunch of X-Wing helmets and other helmets. I probably have maybe, let's see, 20, maybe like 30, 35 helmets maybe total.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's not like I mean, it's a lot, but
yeah,
but it's not like crazy amount.
So helmets, you look at this whole collection, it's just like, oh my God, that's so much. How do you get that much stuff? How do how do you afford all that? But like to your point, you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
But the two big ones in this photo that most people would say, oh my God, how much is that? How do I get that? How could I make space for that? It's the R2, the life-size R2, and the Han and Carbonite.
Solo.
Can you talk about those two?
Absolutely. So the Han Solo and Carbonite is actually the only licensed prop replica that's casted from the original Han Solo and Carbonite prop, right? And there was a company called Elusive Concepts back in the 90s, and they would sell their products at Sharper Image. Funny enough. So Sharper Image was kind of like their main hub to sell their products. And also on the flight books, the in-flight shopping books. Remember those? So those are kind of the two places. And they went into the Lucasfilm archives and actually took the original Han Solo and Carbonite and made a mold of the front and made a mold of the second panel. So usually there's like panel 1 and panel 2 are the light up ones. And then the other ones are kind of the same Volvo panels that they used for the rest of them, but 1 and 2 actually lit up in the movie. What they did is they casted a number 2, and then they made 8 of those along the sides. So it's not very accurate when it comes to the panels, but it's the fact that it was sourced from the original Han Solo and Carbonite. So every like little, line, every single little crack, every single little dent is the one in the film. And there's other companies that make them, Sideshow Collectibles has a life-size one, but they redid it, right? They actually resculpted it. It doesn't match the Carbonite little dents and stuff doesn't match the film. Ruby's did another one that also doesn't match. So this is the only one that matches, and it's hard to get these days because again, it was in the 90s. It's big, it's 8 feet tall, pretty much. Right? Like if I stand next to it, I mean, like if literally like next to him, I'm like
Yeah, Harrison Ford's not a short dude to begin with, and then all the frame and everything.
Yeah, it's massive. And then, you know, it's made out of fiberglass, so it's not that sturdy. It's heavy, you know, but it's not that sturdy. So you find a lot of them with like broken fingers, broken nose. So it's hard to find them in good condition. And then if you do, because they're so delicate, to get them freighted like across states, it's really tough. So you pretty much have to find one locally in good condition in order to just make sure it doesn't break in shipping, you know?
Yeah. NATO Potato, patron in the patron chat, asks how you have that hung, the Han and Carbonite.
Ooh, a TV mount.
Wow.
Big screen TV mount. Yeah. So unfortunately, that one didn't come with a mount, right? So but luckily, I did some digging online and found out that they actually use some wood to kind of at least keep it sturdy in the back. So I kind of, just hope for the best and kind of just made sure I kind of figured out where on the panel that wood was, and then just figured out. And luckily I hit it on the first try. So I was able to secure it to the basically it's like a 2x4 that's in the Han Solo. And then
putting the stud finder on Han and Carbonite.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's the way I did the old fashioned way, though. I was like knocking. And then there it is. So that's obviously that's one of my pride and joys. Like that's obviously one of the centerpieces in the collection. And then the R2 unit I actually built myself. I'm part of the R2 Builders Club. Sick. And I started it probably around 2016, I want to say. And then I finished it around 2018. It's fully remote control. I'm not very techie. Like I'm not good with like servos and programming, the Arduinos and things like that. So all it does is just moves, right? Like back and forth, side to side, just like regular RC. The dome moves and the lights light up, and that's about it. I didn't even put the sounds because I didn't know how to trigger the sounds. I mean, there's so much information on how to do it. I just like once I built it and I was like, man, this looks so cool. I kind of just was like, I gave up on the internal parts of it.
So wood frame, aluminum skins, you went all out?
I went the old school traditional way back then. So I did wood frame, styrene skins. So I hand cut those styrene skins using the blueprints. So I grabbed the blueprints, glued them to the styrene, and then just.
You didn't use to use any tools because I bought plans and I've got router tools and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how to make perfect circles and do it because OCD. Did you just go for it?
I tell my family these days, anytime I do something handy around the house, I'm like, I'm an R2 builder. Like I could do anything now. Honestly, it was all just a learning curve. Like, I mean, I probably spent more money buying tools than the actual like frame itself.
Yeah.
Just testing things out, right? With Bondo, I've never handled Bondo in my life, but the legs are wooden. So you have to kind of Bondo, sand. Yeah. Like it's just this whole intensive process. So wooden legs, wooden frame, styrene skin, aluminum dome, aluminum parts all the way around the dome. Some resin parts. I did use some resin because you have to be patient for some of the runs, right? Because the one thing about the R2 Builders Club is that they're not allowed to sell the parts because they're authorized by Lucasfilm, right? So it's not like somebody could just make parts and just sell them normal. They need authorization from the club. It needs to be a run. It needs to be limited to only the people in the run. So there's very specific rules. So some stuff you have to
so essentially like the buyers are they're not purchasing it from a seller. They're like chipping in and someone's going to make them is how they look at it, right?
100%. So sometimes you have to just wait a year. Sometimes if you don't get in that run at that time, the next run's not going to be until whenever, right? And then now you have to wait. So I'm not very patient, as I want to complete it. So instead of waiting for the aluminum part, I just went and did resin for a lot of the Just
Yeah.
like the little Griblies, little stuff.
And you source the aluminum dome from a maker.
Yeah. I did it all through the runs from astromech.net.
Yeah.
Or astromech.com, I think also takes you to the website. But yeah.
That's so dope, dude. You've remotivated me a little bit to start working on my astromech.
Yeah.
Got the
man.
plans rolled up right over there. So
Yeah, you got to do it. I think it's more learning, right? And just trying to figure out everything up front. But once you get it down and you start working on it, it goes fast.
honestly, the hardest part so far in terms of like just getting started and getting the ball rolling for me is sourcing the styrene that size, because shipping it, I've looked at a few places and the shipping cost is like, oh God. So I've called suppliers around St. Louis. I'm not in in Southern California or somewhere where it's easier. And one day I called a half a dozen, and I just had to break it down to them and say, look, I'm building a droid. I'm trying to build an R2D2.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so that's what you use? And I end up in these long conversations with them. And, it was, oh, try calling this place. And I finally kind of gave up.
Yeah.
But it's sourcing materials that is
100%.
more of a pain.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and out of those, obviously those two are pretty cool. I sent you some cool pictures of some very unique things in the collection that are very, very unique. That there's not that many things. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, let's go through some slides here. So here's a little better look at the helmet wall. There's 16 of them there. The one that we saw in the wide.
Mhm.
And then a top to bottom you've got blasters and lightsabers here with a Mandalorian jetpack. Is that the Empire Strikes Back Boba?
It's actually Return of the Jedi Special Edition. So it's just a little more scratched up than the Return of the Jedi version.
It's a little bluer. Is that right? I always mix up which is which.
It's a little duller. Yeah, the blue just kind of faded over time. So then it's a little duller than the.
It's a little closer look. And then down here, we'll get into that later. Yeah. Here you have some of these busts from what company makes these? The 3PO and the Rancor and Size Noodles. Or I mean, sorry,
Greedo.
Yeah, but Jabba's boy. What? Come on.
Oh,
Salacious.
Yeah. So Salacious Crumb, the Rancor, and CZ3, which the droid over on the right side for people watching, those were made by Regal Robot. And Regal Robot also has the license from Lucasfilm, and they've been doing a great job at going into the archives and digitally scanning all the pieces. Most recently, they've been scanning the maquettes, which are like the concepts that like George Lucas would look at before authorizing, one of the just one of the characters. So they went into the archives and actually digitally scanned all of them, and there's a ton of them. So they've just been doing such a good job on that. And then the C3PO and Greedo, those are Sideshow Collectibles. And Sideshow Collectibles for a while did a line of Star Wars busts that were really, really cool. Greedo is one of my favorite characters, so I'm like, I have to have Greedo. Of course, got to have C3PO. Since then, I bought another C3PO, and I kind of used the techniques that I learned from painting my R2, and I painted the C3PO and turned it into K3PO, which is the one from Hoth, the white one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The little red dots.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. So that's my other droid there. So.
Just a little close up of the Rancor. That's beautiful, dude.
That's my baby right there. Oh my God.
How big is this roughly?
So it's a scan of the puppet. So this is actually digitally scanned from the screen used puppet that they used in Return of the Jedi. So I would probably say it's about 20 inches high and maybe about 20 inches wide.
Wow.
And you think about it, like, Phil Tippett put his hand in there, so his mouth is about the size of a hand, right? Like right there, because that's what it was. And Regal Robot went in there, digitally scanned the puppet, which was kind of deteriorating. It was actually getting like hunched over, and it was because it's foam latex, right?
Yeah.
So it started deteriorating. So they went in there, they ended up cleaning it up a little bit, to restore at least the structure of it. And when they scanned it, and I think they actually scanned it before that process. So they had to kind of digitally lift it back up and kind of straighten them out. Obviously, the original one has a big giant hole in the back because that's where the puppet is held. So Regal closed that up and kind of just, made sure that it was for display purposes. But they used like the metal BBIs, just like the original. I mean, this thing is just, I walk in every time and I see it, and it's just like, I can't believe I'm looking at the Rancor. Like, it is the Rancor.
I mean, I feel like within
so cool.
stop motion and monsters and creatures on screen, probably the two or like the three most legendary creatures are, well, Harryhausen's skeletons, the King Kong, and then the Rancor, right? Like, I can't think of any others that are kind of in that top tier.
I mean, Tauntauns probably would be up there too, but
Right.
I mean, the Rancor, man, like,
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie too, by the way. So I'm a little biased, but still, like, come on, like,
yeah, absolutely.
These are some of the maquettes and the chess set, actually. Phil Tippett and team did the chess set for, the original trilogy, and for the sequels, they ended up using, because they had to recreate the chess set, right? You remember when who was it? Was it Finn? I think, right? He accidentally hits and it turns on. So these are the replicas of those, and they came with Phil Tippett's signature, Dennis Murin, and who else? Joe Johnson, I think. And yeah, it was like a triple signature edition. And the cool thing about this is that, see those two in the middle, the little crab looking one, like the little like orange one right in the middle, and the green one, those have a very cool backstory because they actually removed them. They didn't put them in the original trilogy, but they existed, right? They created them for them. They just didn't put them in there. So if you notice in the sequels, when they're playing, I think it was the sequels or Solo. I think it was Solo, where he's playing, Chewie hits the table and those two disappear. So it like explains why they're not there in the original trilogy. But it's cool that they actually had them. They scanned them and they made replicas of them. They made 77 of these. So I was fortunate enough to get a set. But yeah, no, that chess set is just also beautiful.
I'm pretty sure our friend Kate Sabaker at Tippett worked with Phil on those two new old ones.
Yeah. I actually, at one of the moshes, I went up to her and I was showing her, because she's like, "Oh, the chess set, yeah."
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that bad boy, I love that thing. So for any
this
Disney,
is really cool.
Yeah. For any Disney fans out there, it's one of my Galaxy's Edge replica. Well, not even replicas. There's 5 of these in existence. There's 2 of them in Anaheim, 1 on each side of the bar. There's 2 in Florida, again, 1 on each side at Oga's Cantina, and then there's this one. And I got it because I know the artist that created them for Galaxy's Edge. So I got his personal casting. He ended up painting it for me exactly like the ones used in Galaxy's Edge. And yeah, you could see them there. They're actually flipped upside down. So next time you go to Galaxy's Edge and Oga's Cantina, keep an eye out for them. They're back there. And like I said, there's 2 of them. There's 1 on each side of the bar.
For anyone listening who can't see this, behind the bar, there's a green slimy tank, almost like a Ninja Turtles looking like ooze tank behind a couple of IG heads.
Yeah.
And this creature with kind of buggy eyes and almost like antennae.
Well,
it's hanging down.
Let me give you the backstory of that. Ralph McQuary did a concept art for Empire Strikes Back where it was a Dagobah slug versus this swamp Dragon, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And it was actually a concept piece that he drew. Never made it onto the film, of course, but it was really cool that the Disney, the Imagineers and the people working on Galaxy's Edge, they took inspiration from that McQuary concept art, and they took the Dagobah slug from that and they put it in Oga's Cantina. So this actually technically has lineage back to the original trilogy.
Amazing.
As far as like the concept of the creature. It's really cool. Dagobah slug.
That's so cool. I love how much new stuff still comes from the early McQuary stuff.
Oh yeah.
I know. Yeah. It seems endless. Just when you think it's like there can't possibly be any other McQuary lineage. And it's like, no, this is too.
There's more, yeah. There's EFX Collectibles is actually putting out one of the McQuary Stormtrooper helmets. It's going to be available on the 17th. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Pre-order. Ooh, beautiful helmet. Man, so cool.
Surprised that doesn't exist yet. Like what? Like official? Is that the first like officially licensed one?
That's the first officially licensed one.
Yeah,
and they actually made the McQuary Vader helmet 10 years ago. And that thing, I mean, that goes for 10 grand, 12 grand. But for the people that are looking at, and I don't have it, but people are looking up to have the Vader McQuary one, and now getting the McQuary Stormtrooper, it's gonna look so cool on display.
Oh, Physics Buddy Joe, patron in the chat, just put up the concept art. Let me show this really quickly. Yeah, there we go.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So this. I mean, who knows what the scale is supposed to be? I mean, based on the size of the trees, this was probably supposed to be pretty big.
Yeah.
But maybe the little ones, it's it's a little baby one. Maybe it got into Oga's.
Yeah.
All right. So this last thing.
Yeah.
3 pieces. I have a photo here. Do you have these on hand?
I do.
Can you show us?
Yeah, this is a great segue to obviously talk about Julian's Auction too. So these are 3 screen used pieces or set pieces from Andor. And they're production pieces, right? I mean, screen use is a very like specific term where you have to like match it and all that stuff. 2 of them, it's impossible to match, right?
Right.
But do you want to pull up the scene that it's from first, or?
Yeah, let's do that. You grab those.
Let's start with. You want to start with the little one with the.
Yeah, here. Let me. I'm gonna make you bigger on the screen here. You get into that, and I'll get the screenshot.
Okay. So you guys remember these, right? Like the Death Star stars that they're building while they're in jail.
Yep, in Narkina 5 in the prison. So
that's one of the end caps, like one of the caps. You could actually see it up close there. And again, there's so many of those that were made for production, right? So that's why I'm hesitant to say screen used, because obviously it's hard to screen match it, but definitely a production piece from Andor. And there's, obviously there's a bunch of them. It's small, it's multiple layers. And I got this through an auction, right? And I think that's kind of, in my opinion, like there's different layers of craziness when it comes to like Star Wars collecting, right? You start collecting the figures, then a lot of people move up to like the 6 scale, then the quarter scales, then the life-size prop replicas, and then obviously the screen use stuff. So once you start getting into the screen use stuff, you got to remember Lucas keeps a lot of that stuff in the archives, especially the very important stuff, right? That goes into the archives. So a lot of this stuff, the only way it gets out is if it's some production or somebody maybe that worked on it that just had something. Sometimes things just walk off the set, but they make it into these auctions. And there's multiple auctions, auction houses that sell this. This is from one of those auctions, and I was fortunate enough to snag one of those. That's one.
Let's.
Do you want to show the next cog? That's that.
There's
piece.
That one.
Yeah.
These other images format, I'm gonna have to change them. I'm gonna have to convert them real quick. So just
okay.
Show what you have, and then I'll get that going.
All right. So the next piece that also I got in that same auction is actually a piece that was used throughout the movie. I mean, throughout the show, the first season. You could see it's like the door where the generals are, right? But you could actually also see them in the interrogation rooms. So anytime you see a door in the interrogation rooms, you see actually the Imperial Cog kind of in the middle. So again, this is another one of those like production pieces from the set. And again, it's impossible to screen match to which one exactly, just because it's impossible to get such a high definition photo from the show.
Right.
But it's such a cool piece. Again, it's multi-layered. It's like metal, like almost like very thin aluminum on the top. And then on the back part, I want to say it's resin. It looks like it'd probably be resin on the back, but it's such a cool piece. As soon as I saw this on the auction, I was just like, oh man. And I got into like this bidding war with this other person, and which, it happens, right? I think that's part of the screen use thing. You're gonna have to get into some battles over this stuff, because again,
I assume they come framed and all that, right? You don't have to do that, do you?
I do it myself. Yeah. So
you do? Okay.
Yeah. No, that's one of the funnest things for me, honestly, is when I start working on the display things, like to try to come up with like, how do I hang this circular thing, right? Like how do I you could kind of see it. So what I did is I was like, what do people that collect plates do? Those decorative plates, like Star Trek, Star Wars plates. And sure enough, I Google it, and it's like plate hanger holders, and it's like this spring in the back that kind of clips it on. So I just kind of secured the spring to the back of it. You can kind of see right there. And then I actually learned how to mat myself. So like the matting, I just measure it, and I like.
Dude, that's expensive in itself. Like if you had someone else do the framing and stuff, you're talking like hundreds of dollars more, right?
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing because sometimes I'll go in there and my OCD kind of comes out when I'm talking to the person, like let's say at Michael's or wherever, because I'm like, well, look, man, here, and I don't want to leave the piece there with the framers. Like I want to install it myself. So then I have to be like, well, I need a circle that's like this diameter, and then I need, 2 squares and all that stuff. So I was just like, you know what? Let me learn how to do it myself. Now that piece, because I didn't know how to make a perfect circle, that one I did go to Michael's and ask them to cut out just the outside and then the circle, just because I was like, I don't want to mess around with the sizes, but the other squares I did myself. And just, but yeah.
That's dope. Let's show the from Andor, the emblem on the door in the ISB headquarters. So you can see what, again, anyone who's listening, as the doors close, they've got, it's not a straight seam where the doors meet. It's kind of that down, jogs to the left, down again kind of thing. And there's an Imperial emblem in the middle where the doors meet. Just the circular part. That's what Gabe has. So check out YouTube. Check out the episode there to see it. And then this last thing.
And New Hope Workshop says that those spokes extending to the outer circle is specific to the ISB logo, which I actually didn't know that. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. All the way out to, interesting. Chasing those stuff.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing, I feel like we should show the screenshot first to understand it, to your point earlier.
I think so. So in this very important scene, I think in Star Wars, this is probably, in my opinion, this is the most important scene. This is the start of the rebellion, right? This is literally where they throw that grenade and it blows up this tank and it kind of sparks, right?
On Rick's Road in Andor.
Yeah, it kind of launches the rebellion. Well, that tank right there that they blew up, there's an actual practical tank that they actually blew up right there. And see that gun that's on the right, the smaller blaster, so not the big middle one, but the small one on the right, that was on there. And it was a rubber, literally a piece of rubber I was attached with some screws, and when they blew it up, it actually flipped around, and it actually stayed in the rubble, and it stayed on there for a while. And of course, that came up for auction. So
Sick.
so I had to get it. So,
Dude.
and as you could see, there's parts missing from it, right? I mean, because obviously it got blown up, so it's missing the scope.
Literally blown up.
Literally blown up.
Yeah.
The scope. You could see it's all rusted from how long it stayed outside from like after the explosion.
Yeah.
So it's just totally messed up. In fact, it's still like it's all rubber. So like it's just like it's broken on down here where the hose was. Again, you could see the screws where they're all rusted from where it was put on. And this was that gun that you see on that tank that got blown up. And in fact, you could actually see the outer part, which we're looking at it backwards, right? So the outer part is actually where the explosion happened. So you could see how that's just all torn up. You could see, and that's not paint.
Yeah, so that's actually, yeah. At first I thought it was like weathering, but that actually just was blown up.
No. Yeah, that's just straight up, or it might be paint from some other, whatever it hit, right?
Naturally weathered by a real explosion.
You can see the rubber.
Have you figured out how to display that yet, or what?
So right now it's just kind of in the middle of like the weapon display, right below like the Princess Leia blaster. So I think this one is going to be one of those ones where I think I'm just going to get a case for it and just cover it up and just leave it like that. I think it looks super cool, just like as is, right?
Definitely.
Just like just super messed up, just super blown up. Like I said, it's still, there's still pieces just like falling apart from it. So
that's so cool, man.
But yeah, no, this is probably, I mean, one of my favorite pieces, because Andor was by far my favorite show. So just to have something from the show, to me, it means a lot. So
absolutely.
Yeah, like it's ripping apart. Like this part, it's like the weight from the front and the back is ripping apart. So even, I mean, I don't think I'll send it for like restoration at all, but I mean, I definitely have to be careful because over time it's definitely going to start sagging. And
had to put a support there or something.
Yeah, I might have to, like when I display it, I might have to display it like suspended,
right?
Like that. So, but yeah, there you go.
And you bought that. What type of auction was that?
It's just a memorabilia. It's like screen used auction. If you guys want the links, the thing is, look, here's the thing. That's not my style. I don't like to gatekeep auctions, but you got to remember with screen use stuff, you start going into bidding wars, right? For stuff. So it's in the collector's best interest to have less people know about certain auctions. So, but if you're interested, shoot me a message. I'll absolutely send you links and I'll send you whatever you need to look at these auctions.
Do you have like, are there like the usual suspects? You're like, oh God, this guy's going to drive up the price. Like, like when you're in there, is it the same group of people?
100%. 100%.
You're the guy, aren't you? You're the guy who drives the price.
Yeah, I'm that guy. No, there's, and honestly, sometimes we make little agreements, right? Like little pacts within collectors, like, hey man, like let's look through the catalog and I'm really interested in that. And you kind of make yourself known that you really want to bid on that, just so they, so other people know, hey, Gabe's going to be bidding on that. Like, let's not drive up, like go crazy and start this bidding war. But it still happens, right? I mean, you're competing against the world, and with people with way more money than we'll ever have. So it's crazy. These collectors are no joke, man.
Well, speaking of auctions and collectors who are no joke, let's get into this Echoes from the Galaxy auction. And we've got some slides to show as well. And if you could talk through this a little bit with us, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was fortunate enough to get invited to the press event that happened yesterday, actually, at San Diego Comic-Con Museum. So I was lucky to go and be able to see some of these pieces in person. And yeah, it's a TMC, Turner Classic Movies, and Julians Auction. And of course, they're, a lot of it's trying to raise money, like you said, for the Saga Museum, which is, Steve Sansweet and Gus Lopez. And, Gus Lopez is one of those collectors, right? He has the Death Star. He owns the Death Star from episode 4. Like V1. Like, what the hell? Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of these things are up for auction. They have some cool pieces on there. It's July 27th. A lot of artwork. Yeah, and we can kind of go through it. A lot of posters, a lot of original artwork that they're going to have up there. That one, it was that's their highlight, right? Like, it's one of their main posters that they're trying to highlight. And again, because that's one of the original kind of concept.
I've never seen that. That's cool.
Posters. Yeah.
So this was just one of the early shots at what the poster was going to be, just like an artist submission. I don't recognize this at all. Same.
Yeah. No, it was definitely, you could actually see the logo, right? Like, that's before they changed it to the logo that we know.
Right.
So that's usually how you can tell if it's like an early concept or like an early poster. Is the little Star Wars, the way it's written.
Yeah.
And then this bad boy. So they have a screen used Stormtrooper helmet there. And I got to see that in person. Beautiful. It's restored, right? Like, the way they match this one is actually through some of the imperfections that you see in the mold. You got to remember, like, these helmets were made vacuum formed, ABS, just green.
Get
plastic.
it done, crank them out.
Yeah. So a lot of them, they're just wonky. They're just really rough. And so they're easy but hard to kind of identify, right? They're easy for people that know, right? Because there's a certain tint to the plastic that they use, right? There's certain key features to the pools, but a lot of people repainted them throughout the years, or tried to at least fix them up, and unfortunately, because they're painted, a lot of them start chipping off in weird spots, and it's just they're just hard to match. Now, this one, they believe, is one of the Sand Troopers helmets that you see early on.
Luxor droids.
Yeah, so this isn't the Luxor droid. That one actually went up for auction, I want to say last year. So one of the Luxor droids went up, but that one was actually like screen match. Like, they knew exactly, like, pinpointed. This one is still, like, they know it's obviously from the production. It just, because it had to get, restored and stuff, they can't just pinpoint it. They can't for sure say it's that one. But still, these don't come up very often. So they're expecting anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 for this.
Wow.
So yeah, that's wild, right? It's a house.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, a house like in the middle of
a house in St. Louis,
not in California.
Yeah, definitely not in California. Yeah, this is a cool piece. So some autographs, especially now, right? I mean, Harrison Ford, he's doing a mail away right now that's currently up, but as he's getting older, it's harder and harder to get his autograph. Not only that, but like, I mean, obviously you could see that, what's his name? Paul Blake, right? I think is the guy who played Greedo. Looks like he wrote out the whole scene. So that's a really cool piece.
So it's it's not a screenshot. This looks like it was taken on set as they were, maybe this was rehearsal or something. You would have to guess.
It might have been one of the promo shots, right? I mean, they would use a lot of photos from the film, like stills back then, to promote the movie. So yeah, I mean, it might have just been someone that took the screenshot and printed it too, right?
Right.
I think the most important thing is the autographs, that you have both of them on there, and then obviously the script written out on there.
That's really cool.
It's a cool piece. Yeah. Oh man. So some of the blueprints, and blueprints are another whole beast in like collectibles. I know the R2 blueprints went up for auction a few years ago, and man, there was a frenzy over those. So
Yeah,
when these
I
come
bet.
up, they're rare. So
So this is a TIE fighter blueprint. Is this meant to be for the prop builders, or is this something that went in a book? Because it's got the different angles, front and side angle of the TIE fighter, and then kind of an exploded cockpit piece like you would see in like if you're looking in a lawnmower manual, and it's got all the pieces that kind of blown out.
yeah.
It's got that. Do you know any
I,
more about this?
I don't know. I know they came out obviously with the Star Wars blueprints book, and you can find a lot of the blueprints in that book. So there's a possibility that this could be just like like one of the original drafts for that book. Um, but I mean, I doubt, maybe for the prop builders, maybe to keep scale, right? Just for something to reference the scale to make sure that everything stays within that.
Jason's telling me he put this in the chat here. ILM artist Steve Gawley,
Was it Steve Gawley?
yeah,
Yeah.
created for A New Hope in 1975. So
No. So
this was probably what props were based on, I would think.
yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
more of a
Steve Gawley.
schematic than just a concept drawing.
Yeah, Steve Gawley was one of the ILM model makers that was making, he was working on, the Star Destroyers and obviously the TIE Fighters, the Falcon. So yeah, I mean, if he drew this out, it definitely was to make sure that the scale was there and to show all the proportions.
Really
Yeah.
cool. And some posters here,
Yeah, some variants.
Japanese,
Yeah.
and
Maybe Mexico, maybe Spain. Yeah, can't tell. But it's in Spanish for sure. So
yeah.
yeah. A lot of posters that they're going to have up. That Japanese one's really cool.
Love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's really minimalist. These next pieces, little Greeblies. Is this these are
Yeah.
Death Star Greeblies, yeah?
Those are Death Star Greeblies, yeah. So those are the kind of the like low altitude ones, like the smaller versions. They
Mhm.
also have like the big ones that were like 2x2 that were like the high altitude. These they actually had at the Comic-Con museum on display on exhibit. Very cool. I actually own the Kit Kat one, so the red one.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of collectors call them the Kit Kat one because obviously it looks like a Kit Kat. I have one of those. Let me bring that out. So I own a screen use one of the Kit Kats, and except it's missing. It like got, when they used it, I think it was one of the end ones, so they ended up chopping the little part that comes
Oh,
down.
got it.
Yeah, but as you could see, that's the resin that they used, and yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah, that's one of, and this one's again one of those screen used pieces from the original trilogy. The
Mando helmet?
Yeah, the Mando helmet. I think that one's one of the production ones, right? It's the thing with the Mando helmets is I believe there was quite a few that were made. So it's kind of cool to see some. This might have been one of the stunt ones, or somehow it made it out.
The description Jason put in from the website, used by Pedro Pascal. So is this when he takes off the helmet in the scene with Bill Burr?
I mean, that's hard to tell. I mean,
it would be that, or if he's lifting it while he's eating. There are only a few opportunities for that to have been used.
So the one thing I'll tell people about auctions, I mean, no matter what, no matter how reputable, like how big the auction house is, you always want to do your homework. You always want to try to screen match it. If you can screen match it yourself. There's been a lot of situations where, the person putting this up for auction, right? They're just using the auction house as kind of the vehicle to sell the helmet. They kind of have to trust, right, their word and the lineage, right, of where it came from. And it's always best to just do your homework, because you just never know, right? Like, for example, like the cog from Andor, I bid on it because it said screen used, and it showed the picture of the general's, door. But again, I know that it's impossible for them to, I mean, unless the person actually took it off from that door. But again, there's so many of them used in production that it's production used. Yes, it was used somewhere on the set, but that one, I don't know. This one's the same thing. I don't know. Maybe, sure. If we can screen match it, if we can find the screen matches, absolutely. Like that would be a grail piece. If you can get one that Pedro actually used and he's holding, that's an amazing piece. So I'd say just if you're gonna bid $100,000 on it, do your homework.
Got Darth Maul's double-bladed saber from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So the Darth Maul, this one is not one of the ones that had the sticks on the side. So technically it'd be one that he would be either holding down below or hanging on a belt. So again, with the prequels, there's also a lot of them made. So I think it was the first time, as opposed to the original trilogy. With the original trilogy, there's a lot of versions of them, a lot of them metal, some, that they just made really quick for like the stunts. But for the prequels, they actually had a lot of them. They made a ton of them. And anytime one would break, it'd be like, all right, grab another one. I think there's actually an interview with, I think Ewan, where he's like, the guy in the cart, and he would just come and give you a new lightsaber. Right?
So they were still using like the aluminum shaft that they kept breaking those in the fights.
Yeah,
so
and they're
swap them out.
And they're made out of resin. So the hilts were resin. So if one chipped, if one broke, and again, you got to remember there was multiple versions, right? There was like the dueling ones. There was, like I said, the belt ones, the hero ones, things like that. So this is one of those versions. A lot of them come up like on auctions, different versions of them. There's even just kind of this like running joke, right? With prop collectors, it's like every auction's going to have a prequel lightsaber like on there, and it seems that way, but that's just because there are so many. This one's a beautiful example, though. It's like I said, I got to see it in person. I have a video up on my Instagram and TikTok on it. I'm showing it, and then I'll probably upload kind of a little tour and like a little interview that I did with one of the Julians guys on my YouTube channel. So later, if someone wants to see something up close, I'll have some videos. But yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I don't know how much does it say on there how much they're expecting to get? 30,000, I think.
What Jason's giving us, I'm not seeing it, but to your point about there being so many made for the prequels, I would guess this would go for quite a bit less, but still,
so
it's not going to be cheap.
40 to 80. It looks like on their little card, it's 40 to 80, which is about right. I mean, these usually go for about that much, regardless of which version you get. But this is a really nice piece. So
really cool.
I could definitely see it go for a lot.
Blaster, a couple angles of the same blaster.
Yeah.
This is from go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is Poe's. They didn't have this one on display. I wish they would have. I really wanted to see this one on display.
Looks really cool.
Yeah. Poe's blaster. Expecting to fetch about $35,000, right, Jason? So, yeah.
So here's an example of what you were talking about. But this image is cut off. This is Qui-Gon's lightsaber hilt, but it has a threaded shaft coming out. But I've seen wider photos of this where this is just a piece that they would attach the aluminum blade to, right?
Yep. Yeah. And in fact, I think this auction, when I was talking to the guys from Julian, they actually have the blades, like the stump blades that screw on. They just couldn't fit them in the display case.
Got it.
But I believe that the auction is for the whole saber. So I think I believe so. Double check on the website if anybody's interested. But yeah, Qui-Gon's kind of dueling lightsaber here, expecting to fetch about 30,000. I Jason says, yeah.
I love it. That's one of my favorite designs.
Yeah, Qui-Gon's is cool. And Obi's.
Obi-Wan's as well.
Yeah.
Same type of prop.
Yep. And it's all resin. And that's the cool thing about like seeing them up close, right? So if anyone's in Southern California and gets a chance to do it, you could look at these. They're out on display at the San Diego Comic-Con Museum. So if you're already going to go into the museum, just take a right and you could actually see all of these out there. And it's just so cool to see it just because it's like wonky, it's all chipped. It's like, but that's what I love about props, right? It's that's how you know they're authentic. Like, you know, it was used, you know, it was handled. Like,
you can see the story of it just by the way it looks.
Absolutely.
Let's try to cruise through the next few of these because we got some really cool stuff we want to look at in a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's a helmet from the Force Awakens.
Yeah, that's a cool one. And that one's actually they're expecting to fetch about 10,000 on this one.
Red 4's helmet.
C-3PO's hand. They have that one out on display. They have two versions of the hands. They have an original one from A New Hope, or no, I guess Empire Strikes Back. I can see here, and it's just a casting of it. And then they actually have a Star Tours one, like one of the Disney ones, which is really cool. You know why? Because Disney put out, I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a 3PO hand, and it's like a picture frame holder.
No.
Yeah, and it might have sold out. I don't know if they still sell it. They would sell it in the Droid Factory. But when you see the one they have there, it's like identical to it, like the same little knobs and the same little wires, same, even the way it's like shaped. I was like, I wonder if they scanned that to make the picture frame.
This next thing will segue us into a cool conversation about some stuff. There's a poster, Return of the Jedi poster.
Yeah. So that's actually the early concept of it. It's like the original artwork that kind of started it, right? And what's kind of cool, if you look at it in person, the lightsaber is not even that straight. If you look at it, if you zoom in, it actually starts like
it's wobbly,
which is kind of funny that like the artist was just like, good enough, you know.
Well, let's look at this.
Yeah, so
there's a little better view of
that's the
kind of the final image. And a lot of people may know that this is the original Return of the Jedi poster before you get the collage version that came later, and it's the two hands holding the lightsaber up. It kind of looks like it's been swiped up. There's like a swooping kind of bluish glow that comes from the side, and you can kind of see the tracers. Those are George Lucas's hands.
Yeah.
The artist drew from.
Rumor has it, right? I mean, yeah, I think that's the consensus, is that it's George Lucas's hands. But what's even cooler are all the behind the scenes Polaroids that they have of kind of just like the inspiration for this final, the way the hands were going to hold the lightsaber at the end. And that's kind of the coolest part, is that in the auction, they actually have some of those, some of those Polaroids and some of those pictures that they had kind of as reference.
So Lucas, I'm pretty sure, I would guess these are his notes, written out what this is gonna look like and why. And there's a photo here. I have a close up of it. It looks like they took a long exposure, slow shutter speed photo, and someone moved their hand with a tube or something to get the effect of what they wanted it to look like.
Yeah.
And they have that photo here pasted to the description of what it's supposed to look like.
I love that.
And then a rough kind of drawing of it with a whole bunch of notes around. So it says Return of the Jedi. This is all hand drawn on I don't know, maybe 11 by 17 or something.
Yeah. It might, no, it actually might be one like
smaller.
Like, and it actually might be bigger, right? Or like,
okay, just a big,
maybe an 8 by 10 per little square, right? Like,
got it. Okay. And then I zoomed in on each of these little sections because I thought this was so funny. It says, Darth should appear superimposed, almost ghosted or spirited. the fact that they're still referring to Vader as Darth, like a first name kind
Yeah,
of thing, before Lucas decided that Darth was like a rank, sort of, you know?
yeah. His first
You know,
name.
yeah. Again, to everyone who's convinced that Lucas had every single detail planned out from 1975 on, let's get real. Read these notes.
Yeah. No way.
Pretty cool, but you know, make the light from the saber wash over Darth Vader. Blah 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 blah. Ultimately, Vader didn't end up in it, but it's still cool to see these little notes here.
That A wing on the bottom, I never noticed that. Like a little.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
cool.
It's really cool. But then the poses you can see in this, I don't know if we quite have a close up of that, but they were used in, you know, these are stills from the film that were used in other posters.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, lots of detail in the notes here on it. You know, show the spaceship. Han Solo, Luke. Notice the typo. Hans Solo. Lots of good stuff here. Make lightsaber accurately drawn. Check photos sent for info. Make hand holding the saber strong, powerful, victorious, beautiful, and masculine. Look as if it's thrusting up through the mound of action lit by the lightsaber.
That's awesome. And it's funny because I could actually think about like what was happening when they were writing that notes. Is it the artist taking notes on like George Lucas telling him like, hey, I rather do this and do that and do this, and he's like kind of figuring out the notes? Or is it just George Lucas straight up saying that's his writing and that's what he wants, right?
Yeah. What's cool is there's two different types of handwriting here. So there's cursive down at the bottom, and then this sort of like all caps, small caps kind of writing. So
I think his cursive, I've seen some of like his inscriptions like on autographs and stuff. Like I think he writes in kind of cursive-y, so that the bottom one might be George Lucas.
That's cool, man. All right, so here we get into the test photos.
Yeah.
This one holding a baseball bat to get the vibe of it.
I love this one. I love the fact that they used a baseball bat for that. And again, the consensus that's George Lucas's hand, and he's the one holding that bat. And I love the fact that they're going up and down to try to like figure out the girth of the lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
It's like, should it be thinner, thicker?
Yeah, exactly. And then we get into holding the actual prop in several different positions, one or two hands. They're numbered. These are Polaroids that are in little sort of like rice paper envelopes.
Yeah.
This one's a little awkward.
And this one's like first person. It's like first person perspective, right? Like you see the hands kind of coming out of the like into the frame. And then we see some right from the left, from the right.
Then the more first person.
Yeah.
And then here we're getting into something that looks closer to the final. Again, some from the side. Yeah. You can see the top of somebody's head on this number 8 here.
Yeah. How that's funny.
That person looks like they have a little male pattern balding. So that's probably not Lucas there.
So maybe it's not Lucas. Yeah. Interesting.
But then these two,
like it could be him now.
Yeah, that looks like his hair there on number 2, which is the one. And you can, I studied these pretty closely. The one on the left, number 1. So this looks like it was a second shoot, because these were all numbered like 1 through 13. And then this new position with the actual prop, we're back to 1 and 2. You can see the little gap between the index finger and the pinky.
Yeah.
And then on the second one, on number 2, where you can see the hair, it's joined, it's right up in there. And then here's the close-up, the final.
Yeah. And
that looks right. So, I mean, based on that hair, Nick, like you saw it right away, it's got to be him.
That definitely.
And then hand illustrated, traced, I assume, tracing paper, transferred. Here, this is black and white. Then it's cut out. This is kind of sepia.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't these. these were the techniques in the days, before Photoshop and stuff. You had to hand cut out these things, and then you're doing photocopies and transferring and all this kind of stuff. This is how you did design. And here's a sketch with a reference, a little small printout next to it. Again, just like pencil on paper, and then a couple different versions in color. Do you know anything about why this one on the left is a whole piece, and then on the left it's two? It looks like they were printed separately or drawn separately and then pasted together.
That I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know what the printer technology was back then, right? Like,
Yeah.
were color printers just like readily available, or like,
This would be like offset printing, I guess they call it, unless that's newer technology, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but like send it out to a print shop.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're like, okay, so we sent it out. We'll be back here next Tuesday to see how it came out.
Yeah. Well, it's like photos, right? Like back,
Yeah.
I mean, even back in the even in the 90s, it was like, let's take some pictures from some whatever event, go send it out, wait a week.
See him next
And
week.
you would assume all the studios would have a dark room on site, so they'd send it over.
Yeah.
So they could probably essentially get 1 hour photo on the studio, but still, it's not snap, and then immediately look at your screen. It's like there's a process to all of this. More notes on a color print, or I mean that could have been. This could be a hand drawn illustration still with color pencil, but then here's the final once again.
Yeah.
I love this stuff so much, man.
Yeah, such an iconic poster too, and it's like knowing the backstory of all that just gives it so much more meaning, right? So cool.
Love it. And then we have a few more slides from the actual display at the Comic-Con Museum if you want to.
There's that artwork in the middle. There's the screen used helmet. You could see the C-3PO hands there. The one on the left is the Disney one, the animatronic one, and then the one on the right is the screen used one. And then you could kind of see the lightsabers on the top. There's a glare, but they have the 3 sabers there on display. It's a cool display. San Diego Comic-Con Museum.
What is this building? Is this a temporary space? Did they buy this and put it here, or what's the deal with it?
Yeah, so it's changed, different things. Like for a while it was like a sports museum, and it just kind of was always ignored. If you visit Balboa Park, most of the museums are kind of concentrated in certain areas, and this one's kind of in the back, further closer to the aerospace one, like the ones where they actually have like the airplanes and the rockets and all that stuff. But it was vacant for years. They didn't really do anything with it. They would host parties there often, but it was kind of cool when they announced that Comic-Con was going to take over that space and turn it into a museum. So it's pretty cool. So if you guys are down here for San Diego Comic-Con, definitely go check it out. They're actually going to do the auction live there on Sunday, on the 27th. So they'll have most of the pieces there, and they're going to do it live in front of everyone in the theater that's in there.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, we'll try to put a link to this auction site in the show notes and follow along. Gabe, tell everybody one more time where they can find you on social media so they can stay in the loop about this and see what you have.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're on Instagram and TikTok, it's Gabe's Empire. If you're more of a Facebook or YouTube person, it's Star Wars Replicas. All of my channels have links, kind of linking everything together. So you'll find it. But Gabe's Empire or Star Wars Replicas.
Nice. Nick, tell us about Mosh Eisley, because we're coming down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, we are, under about 10 days. It's Friday, July 25th at the Music Box in San Diego. There are under 100 tickets left. Everyone, as we expect, is just starting to buy tickets now. They're solidifying their plans. So, this thing is sold out 2 years in a row. It's on its way to sell out a third year, and I'm guessing any day now it'll sell out. So start preparing, charge those lightsabers, get your costumes ready to go. We'll see Gabe there. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It'll be my third San Diego one. I love it, man. It's such a great time. You guys, everyone I tell.
It's kind of our flagship one, San Diego.
San Diego goes off. We're also at Comic-Con the following night doing, with the Dad Batch, Star Wars Family Feud. Little friendly competition where we have some other folks with us because the Dad Batch has more hosts, so we're gonna even it out and have some surprise guests to do it with us. That's gonna be a good time. Follow along on social media for more details on that. We've already gotten the. I think we're done with all of the survey questions. Jason and the Dad Batch dudes got that together. Survey says, 100 people were asked this, yada yada yada. We did the thing up the real legit way for Family Feud, so it's going to be fun. Again, follow us on Instagram for us, elsewhere for other people. Details can be found there. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Patrons, we'll see you shortly for the bonus segment. Maybe some of the questions that we missed in the chat, we'll hit Gabe with those, and maybe he can show us some more things close up that everybody else doesn't get to see because they're not patrons, but you are, and we love you. Everyone, thanks again. And until next week, may the Force be with you. Thank the Maker is produced by Adam Russell and Jason Chiodo, and edited by Jason Chiodo. If you enjoy the podcast, you can support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Or you can support us directly at patreon.com/thankthemakerpod, where you can get access to our Discord server, exclusive content, exclusive merch, and more. Our patrons literally make Thank the Maker possible.